All right, the recording has begun. It is August the 14th, 2026, and today I have a very special legend with us in IT. Unyime has been with the agency since which year? 20,
2000.
2000. So easy
June
math,
1st, yeah, June 1st, 2000. So 25
26
years.
years.
I know, I know,
26
I know.
years. How's that possible? Because obviously she started when she was probably, 7 or 8 years old,
You're
maybe
kind.
10. But seriously, this is amazing, and Unyime is in a wonderful position to be able to retire and is graciously given her time today to tell us a little bit about her path, her life journey, and some of her time at CPA, and also get to some of the more fun stuff and interesting stuff outside of work. That's what I always enjoy. Like I like to learn about the people. So I've known Unyime for a long time. One of the best, friendliest, and most knowledgeable workers in all of CPA. Always brings a smile to my face, and one of those employees that whether it's a hard project or just running into in the hallway, it's just somebody you're always glad to see. So anyway, we'll get into it. So Unyime, why don't you tell me a little bit about your background? What's your origin story? Where did you grow up? Favorite
Okay.
things as a kid? Where'd you go to school? Just give us a little bit of, as a kid, what kind of formed the path for you?
All right, thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate this. I was excited about it. So glad to be here. And so I want to reintroduce myself. So my name is Unyime Udosen, and why I'm doing the reintroduction because I stutter. So when I joined the controller's office, that is something I never disclosed that I stammer. People say they call it stammering or stuttering. So I'm a part of a non-profit at UT Austin that help young kids that stammer or adults that stammer. It's called the Stuttering Institute down the road here. So I've been a part of them for I think about 6 years. And so one of the things that we encourage people to do is if you stutter, it's good to disclose and tell people around you that you stutter. So nobody's wondering why is she kind of holding word? Why is she dragging this sentence? And also if somebody is in the midst or you have somebody that's listening to you that stutters, we kind of encourage them to do the same thing, to disclose, because when you disclose stuttering, it just kind of relieves that expectation that if I stutter, somebody would think, kind of say, what is wrong with her? Why is she dragging her word? So kind of want to put that out there. But yeah, it's something I've been doing for, yeah, I did a camp last year in Nigeria for kids that stammer. I'm going to do another camp this September. So I'm excited I have the time to do it, because I'm going to be retired. So that's kind of a new thing that I'm doing outside work. But yes, I am originally from Nigeria. I came to the US. Oh, was it 96? I think 96. Came in 96, and so I was kind of an adult when I came here, and I started um, ACC when I came a few years there. But I went to elementary school in Nigeria. Went to my middle school in Nigeria. Went to a military elementary school and a military middle school. Like a high school for military kids. You could be in the army when you're done, but my family said, that's not a good idea. So, so then I went to a regular high school. Then I did a college of education for 2 years in Nigeria. And one of the instructors, I think my philosophy instructor said, Miss Umana, you can never be a teacher for kids. I'm like, so, okay, you ruined my dream of being a teacher. But it was a funny reason. But he said teachers had to be more tender. I don't think you have that in your voice. I'm like, whatever. So I knew that wasn't my path. And then right after that, then that's when I came to Austin, Texas. My parent lived here already in Austin. My parent came to go to school. They filed for me over the years to come. So I finally got my green card to come in here. So I came here at 96 and I studied ACC. Did my associate at Austin Community College in business administration, transferred to Texas State University, did computer information system and business. I always love business. So anything I do have to have some business. So that's kind of my educational background here when I came to the US.
All right, that is fantastic. What an amazing story and true immigrant story to the United States. This is, I mean, it's incredible. And I'm also, it cracks me up. I mean, I can't think of a better, like if I was a kid, I would want you as a teacher because you would be so nice, it seems, so patient and so good.
I
You
thought
definitely would,
so.
you would be a natural for it, but you're definitely multi-talented. But yeah, I think your skill set has been used appropriately. Like you got some serious smarts also that you've been able to run with. That not that teachers aren't smart. Now I'm going to get myself in trouble with the teacher community. My mother's a teacher or was a teacher, by the way. So yeah, I love teachers, but yeah, you can do it all, Unyime. So who knows?
I
Maybe we'll get to the future stuff at the end of the conversation. But
you never
just
know.
saying.
No,
Um,
I made it up by being a Sunday school teacher. So I teach kids Sunday school. And I was
okay.
thinking about him all the time. I said, I'm not that bad. My kids love me. So I teach kids Sunday school at church. So.
Yes. Wow. Okay. No, this is wonderful. So what is and since we're in IT, we're techies. So what are your first memories of computers? What was the first time you put your hands on a keyboard and it's like, oh, look at this thing, what it can do?
Oh, so this is I love that question because this is actually very funny because like I said, I'm from Nigeria, so I
Yes.
didn't really kind of grow up in the city. So after high school, when I finished high school, I think that was 89, 90. The computers that started sipping into Nigeria. Finished high school, so in between trying to get into college, there was all these computer classes that was popping up. Microsoft Excel classes. You pay a lot of money. It was so expensive. So I saw assembly language. I didn't know what that was. But I had
Yeah.
time. I was in school, and then there was a class you could do for 6 months. I said, "Oh, I'll sign myself up." so, so,
Oh.
so I signed up for this class. I was like, "What is this?" And all we did, mind you, there was no electricity, not a lot of computers, so it was paper. So this guy printed out. Now when I think about documentation for computers, and we paid a lot of money. when
Oh my
He
goodness.
would, so he was teaching how computer was made and the back end and stuff like. I mean, I took the class for 6 months. I loved it, and
Yeah.
right after that, I got my visa to come to the United States. So when I came here, like I mean, I'm sure you hear this from other immigrant kids. The parent want you to do three things: you either come to be a doctor, or
Mhm.
you're going to be a lawyer, or you're going to
Yeah.
be engineer. And if you're not that good, you can be a pharmacy. That's it.
Yeah. Fallback career. Yeah.
That's it. That's all you could do. So when I came, my parents wanted me to be a pharmacist. I mean, they went so far as I think they actually had a pharmacy in Houston. So thinking, okay, she would come in, do pharmacy, and then she take over. So, but I took that computer class that kept nagging in my. I was like, what was that? It was something different. So when I came here, I was sort of researching, like, what was this computer thing that I took? I went to ACC. Luckily, I started in the summer. So a bunch of kids came from other schools to take AC class at the Rio Grande campus in the summer. And you know me very well. I talk to everybody. So everybody that sat next to me. So what is your major? What is your major? What is your? Why did you pick that major? Why did you pick that major? And then I kept interviewing people in my summer classes. And then there was this guy that kept saying computer information system and computers. I said, I don't want to do computer science. I like business. I like people. And then I met this guy that said he was doing management information system. I'm like, what is that? And then I looked it up. I went to the advisor's office. They explained to me. I said, that's what I want to do. And that's actually how I picked my degree. So,
Wow.
so when I went to Texas State, I had no clue, about computer because I was still kind of new. I didn't even know how to type my papers well with computer, but I was doing computer information system. So the joke of the first joke is we got the first coding project. Now when a friend gave me an old computer, and then one of the, we writing code
Mhm.
COBOL programming was to
Okay.
hit enter. The old computers didn't have the enter button. So I sat there for hours like, what is enter? What is it?
Oh my.
So, pushing all the buttons until I figured it out. But so I literally learned computer from scratch, just figured
Wow.
out this system, figured out my classes, and then I was able to graduate from Texas State.
Yep. That is fantastic. Wow. Wow. Unreal. Unreal. Okay. So very good. So Texas State. And so okay. So what happens after Texas State and before CPA? Did you go straight to CPA or did you do some other things or what? Yeah. What was your path there?
So I was working at Walmart while I was in college.
Okay.
And then I like this funny stories. I like little stories. So when I came in a week that I just arrived to the United States, I have a sister. So my sister was looking for a job. She was in high school. So she took me to Walmart. I was just following her. I just came here. So when we went, she was looking for a job. So we got to Walmart. They said, "Oh, we're not hiring." But I was with her. So the hiring manager turned around and said, "How about you?" And then I said, "I just got here." And said, "But I will hire you." And then my sister's like, "But I'm the one looking for the job. She doesn't even have the papers." I'm like, so So the lady said, I said, well, I do have my papers. I have to, the process, I have to go pick it up out there, get my social security. He said, I'll wait for you. You can start tomorrow and then you can bring in your papers whenever you have your papers. I mean, my sister was so upset, that I got the job that she was looking for. So then I kept that job at Walmart. I think I worked there for like 7 years.
Mhm.
So while I was in school,
Sure.
I worked at Walmart. Then when I moved to Texas State, I moved to St. Marcus. So they my manager sent the manager over. They said, like, you want to keep this girl here, so they actually transferred me, kept me there at Walmart. So I kept that job forever. But when I finished school,
Mhm.
I transferred back to Austin. I was working at Walmart in 290. Mr. Martinez, he's retired. He used to be infrastructure guy.
Yeah.
Came in one day to fix a watch. This
No.
is so. So he had an IBM shirt on. So I said,
Uh,
"Oh my God, you work for IBM? I finished school. I did CS at Texas State. I'm looking for a job." He said, "I don't work for IBM, but I work for Comptroller's office." I'm like, "Oh, that's the state. I don't want to stay." He said, "Oh no, it's not like this is different." And he sold me how great the Comptroller's office was to work. Gave me the link to go and apply. He said, "There are some positions out there. Go and apply. We would like to have somebody like you." I mean, he used to be a customer there. I'm like, "Okay." So then I applied and I got called for interview, and I got the job. So it's another funny thing. So when I got the job, so David Peterson was my manager, was the director then, and Laura Quinn said they took you on a tour to like introduce you to all the directors. So we opened into his office. I'm like, that's the guy. That's the guy that told me about the job. And he was like, so they're like, what are you talking about? And then we announced that, yeah, he told me to apply, and I applied, and then so that's how I came to the comptroller's office.
it's unbelievable. I
I
mean,
know.
it's unbelievable.
So me and him had a little secret in the hallway.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, we
Yeah.
high five each other because
Oh,
you're still here. So
I love it. I love it. Yeah. You never know. You never know. Yeah, but that is amazing. I've
yeah,
never heard that story. So that's a real nugget right there. Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Never
Um,
know. Never
but,
know.
but but it does pay, and it's just a good, not to get off track, but you're obviously such a good positive person. You have such a positive energy and very obviously, very capable. So it doesn't matter if you're, what you're doing, what job you're in. If you do your best, then I think
Yes.
people recognize that human element
Yes.
of this is a good person. Obviously, they take pride in their work and they're doing the best they can, and that attitude. And at some point, maybe you don't need a PhD in astrophysics to do, every job you need. Like at some point, good people are that's the most important element to having a good organization. So anyway, that's a great
You,
origin story, and I love it. I mean, it's
you know what? I'm gonna give another story about my hiring. So this is kind of like
please.
you brought up
Oh, I
good
love, yeah,
people.
this is
So
yeah.
so so when I got called for an interview, this was funny. And I was, I just finished college, didn't have money. So I literally just did, cornrow, cornrow, just like
Yeah, of course.
that's
Yeah,
all I could afford to do. I didn't even have interview clothes. So when I got called for the interview, I was like, I just did my cornrow. I'm not taking that off just because I have an interview. It's like I paid $60 for it. So I remember when I left my house to go to the interview, my mom, I was staying with my parents. My mom said, I thought you said you had an interview. That's what she said when she saw me dressed up to. I said, yeah, I'm going to my interview. And then she said, you see that hair to the interview? I said, what's wrong with my hair? I'm not going to take it away. I just paid for it. And then
yeah.
he's like, so why don't you even wear the right jacket? I'm like, what's wrong with my coat? I had this long coat that was long past. He said, that is not a interview jacket. I'm like, and then she said, you have no penny. You're on platform. I'm like, I just have to beat myself with this. I said, I don't even know if they hire me. And it was on a Friday. So I tell him, Vince, it was on the second floor. I still remember I walked up and the lady, the receptionist just looked at me and said, what do you want? I said, hey, interview. You can see her look like you have an interview, like, and you dress like that to come to the interview. So when I walked into the room, it was Laura Coons and Jennifer somebody. I forgot her last name. The
Okay.
two ladies, they were all properly dressed with this. I said, oh God, I am not going to get this job. I showed up looking like this. They showed up looking, So I'm sitting there thinking, oh, when is this over so I can just go home? And then when I got called back for the job, I was like, okay. And then so years, maybe a year after I had lunch with Jennifer and Laura,
Yes.
I wanted to know. I said, I'm just curious. So
Yeah.
why did you guys hire me? He said, oh God, you should, we opened the door. First we saw cornrow, and then we saw platform shoes. And we said, and then we said to ourselves, at least she has her own mind. She doesn't conform. We really need somebody in the team that doesn't conform, that has her own respect. And she's so bold. I mean, like, we wouldn't even do that. So let's hire her. Let her be part of us because we really need somebody different from us. So that
Sure.
was it. I was like, oh.
I love
So
it.
it pays to be yourself. Pays to be yourself.
It does. Yeah,
Be
I
yourself.
love it. Yep. Yep. That's great. It's fantastic. Okay, well, so let's see. That was which controller was it then? Because that predates me by a few
It
years.
was grandma.
Okay.
Grandma. Strahan.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Very good. All right. So,
Yeah.
okay. So you got going, and then, so tell me a little bit about like so your early roles then at CPA. So what specifically was the job that you went into, and did how did how were those early years for you?
So I got hired into imaging.
Okay.
The imaging technology. It was the AI of those days. Imaging was it was the technology that time. So they were using FileNet. So I was a developer. So they were trying to roll out this FileNet application, in-house FileNet application. So that's what they hired me for, VB.net. So I had a mentor. That's another good thing that happened for me here at the controller's office when I came on board an imaging team. My manager then, I thought that was an agency thing. 2 weeks into my job, said, "Oh, you have a mentor. That he's gonna." I'm like, mentor. I said, "Who's my mentor?" He said, "John." John is his first name. I wouldn't say his last name, but the interesting part that me and John were completely opposite. I mean, like so when he said, I said, "You mean John? John?" He said, "Yeah." I'm like, "How come this?" You know, John was a straight up guy. He wears white shirt all the time, flip his head, eats Diet Coke and sandwich. I mean, he was like, I said, me and John, like, no, I don't wear the same thing for him. I mean, it's like, this is not gonna. But she said, oh no, John is the perfect person for you. So that was a wonderful thing. So me and John, I'll talk about that, how that mentorship really shaped how I do my work and how I relate with other people at work. But that's what I was doing first. And then there was a reorg, and I talked about this with my team. There was a reorg right a year and a half after that, and I was kept in the imaging team, but then I'm going to share this because I think this is important. This is just going to talk about the culture of the controller's office. So our users used to be in revenue processing downstairs. So we would go up and down, from imaging to up and down. So when I went there one time after the reorg, and I said, and there was a lady there that said, "Oh, I heard IT was going through shaky, shaky." I said, "Oh yeah, but I'm good. I'm in the imaging. I'm so excited, new technology." And this lady looked at me and said, "When people call you sweetie." Sweetie, that's like about to say something. Says, "Sweetie, it's not, in work, what you do, where you work, what you do, the tool you do is not as important as who you work with. So don't be excited because you have this technology. Really think about who are the people that you want to work with. This I'm like, I mean, so it's was like, what? It's like, what is she talking about? But I really went home and thought about it. It's like, oh, he said, for you to do well in your career, it's the people that you work with, not the team, not the tool, not the technology. He said, baby girl, that's always gonna change. I'm just letting you know. Don't be excited about some new tool. And then I really went thought about it and actually got myself out of that team to a different team. And
Yeah.
I think that shaped the team that I've worked with from that on, even up to this day. When I went to the DBA team, I was very intentional. I was really looking for what kind of people do I want to work with. And I used to admire them, admire how they took care of each other. Not how that when something was wrong, how did they help each other out as a team? I was like, that's the kind of people I want to work with. It doesn't matter whether it was a popular team or, they were not getting all the award. They actually get no award because they're back end, but the people that was great. So that's actually
Yeah.
how I moved around. And then from there, then moved to that was imaging. Then I moved to small system. We helped to rewrite all the little apps, power access database apps. So I worked with that team for a little bit. Then I did EDI for a while.
Mhm.
I did Kong. Kong
Mhm.
rewrite was one of the big projects. That Kong rewrite, I did that for a while. After Kong was over, it was kind of boring. Kong was crazy, fun project. People stay overnight. We worked all day, all night. And then when that died down, it was pretty quiet. And we were doing ticket. I don't like to be bored. So I remember going to the manager and said, I'm a little And then I was looking around, I was applying for jobs. And apparently, when you apply for a job, they call your manager, they say, "Oh, you want to reference that person?" It's a good, good or bad thing. So one of the
Yeah,
manager called me to the room. I was like, I'm getting calls about. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, because I kind of need a little change. And then great managers. It's good to have a good manager. He sat me down and said, "I really like you. I think you have good access to the controller's office. What do you want to do? What
yeah.
is your 5-year plan?" I thought, I was thinking about it. I said, that guy changed my life. I said, and then he said, "What is a 5-year plan?" And this is a guy that people tell you can talk to him. He's this, he's that. But he was, no, he said, "Come, let me know what your 5-year plan is. I don't want you to leave. If you want to leave, it's your choice. But I wouldn't want you to leave. I would rather you move to any other area at the agency." I was like, "Oh, that was very nice of him." And
Yeah.
within 3 months of me having that conversation with him and communicating with him, emailing him what I thought I wanted to do, he called me to his office and said, "Hey, there is a project on the BI. This new transparency was a new thing that I was like, I noticed you come in, you're always doing this new thing. You're very good with people. They're looking for somebody to help them with some project, some transparency project. Maybe you can go ahead and try it out and see if you like it. So I did. So that's how I moved to a transparency team. And then
Okay.
I worked there, finished the project, and I stayed there. I stayed with the BI team. That's the longest team I've been with since I was at agency. And
Sure.
I think I stayed there longer because it was a different project. You were
Mhm.
not bored. There was always something new. The transparency came, open data came, so there was always something new technology, new tool, new things to work with. So, and then from there, I moved to the DBA team. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
exactly.
Yes, yes. But you know that there's a couple things I just want to hit on a couple of points you said that I loved. And it is about it's about the people. I mean, that's probably the biggest lesson out of that. I mean,
Yes.
it really is. And your team. And yeah, tools come and go, processes,
Yeah.
administrations, you
Yeah.
know, things do change over time. But yeah, if you're with a good team,
Yeah.
and that, I mean, that's number one. You can have the best technology in the world and be
Yeah.
with a bad group that doesn't support each other, and yeah, it's that is everything. So yeah, absolutely. And let's see, I feel like there was another lesson I was going to point out, and now it's already left my brain. But nevertheless, oh no, I know what it was. It was you do, and I love the career kind of progression and trying different things that. And I think that's important to highlight too. And
Yeah.
anybody, if someone's watching this and they're newer at the office,
Yeah.
um, I would say, ultimately it's up to each individual to chart your own course.
Yeah.
So you can't really expect a manager reasonably, I mean, to have the time and resources to try to direct some magical career path for each employee. I don't think that's really reasonable, but you do need to do things that make you happy. But I was going to say, is a good manager, and I think that almost all our managers are what I would consider very good, will listen to their employees and support their career growth.
Yes.
Realize
Yes.
that that's what keeps people happy, engaged,
Yes.
and you've jumped around to different
Yes.
groups and rolled your sleeves up and brought so much to those. And
Yes.
then once you've done your job in a certain area to a degree, then you've gone on to like kind of reinvent yourself in a bit, still in the
Yeah.
technology world, but doing different roles a bit. And I think that's a fantastic way to, one, provide personal enjoyment, fulfillment for you, but what better for an organization to be able
Yeah.
to jump around and have people try different things, learn different things, and kind of cross pollinate. And I think that that's a great lesson that now that you're at the end of your career and looking to retire here in a couple of weeks, which we'll hit on that here in a second. But I think that's a good lesson that probably hasn't come out in any of these other interviews is, try different things. And sure, I mean, CPAs, for me, it's been a fantastic place to work, but you don't have to necessarily leave the agency or certainly for the state. You can jump around. There's our different roles, and even in this same organization, we've seen people come into IT and then go off to do other things. And look at our information security department. I mean, a lot of those
Yeah.
came directly from our IT organization and their management and directors. Because that was a nice career path for them to try different
Yes.
things and grow. So anyway, I think that's a
Yeah.
great thing that you point out, and
Yeah.
just
And I
want to.
do. I mean, thank you for pointing that out too. I really do want to encourage people that I think one of the, it's almost like a myth, or like your manager wouldn't want you to leave or doesn't really care. That is not true. A lot of managers do care for their employees. They really want them to be happy. They want the best for you. And so, I mean, I did remember when I was in the BI team, I was thinking maybe what's next for me. And it's good to think about what's next for you. You kind of have to think about your life, what makes you happy, or what builds you up. And I said maybe I'll try project management. I remember this, so I decided to take some project management classes at ACC, like the whole do PMP thing at ACC. So when I started that, I went to the project management office and I spoke with the director. At that point, I said, "Hey, I want to try this. I don't know, but I'm thinking, what's next for me? I want to try to this PMP classes. Can you give me a project to manage during through my classes?" And he looked at me and said, "What?" I said, "Yeah." I said, I want to do the real thing while I'm taking the classes. And I spoke with my manager. My manager at that time said, can you just give me maybe 20 minutes, 20% of my time extra to do this, because I'm taking this class in the evening. And I think I used the class Monday and Wednesday at ACC. I would drive to, after work, I'll stay, then I drive to the place. I said, I would really kind of want to make it real, like I do a real project. And the two of them were very okay with it. The project manager was like, "Thank you. Like, that's one project I don't have to deal with. I'll give it to somebody." And it was really a wonderful experience for me, because I was working on a real project. And when I go to a class, and it wasn't this made up, I said, "Oh no, I was like working on an agency project, and throughout the whole thing, and I was able to get it done and finish when I finished my class." So, and I mean, I was just supported by the team. So that's kind of, is you have to speak up and know what you want, and people would support you. You got to know what you want and try things out. So when I finished that, I said, I know I don't want to be a project manager.
No thanks. You've done it and you tried it out, and then
Yeah,
and also yeah that's fantastic. Again, try things, do things,
yeah,
do things you enjoy,
yeah.
but try things. I
Try
like it.
things.
It's like food, try something new
Yeah,
sometimes. You might actually like it, or you might not. You don't have to have
why
it yet.
not? Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. Um, all right. Wow. And then in the meantime, and just kind of the timeline, imagine the montage of the different controllers coming in, and here
Yeah.
comes Susan Combs and putting her
Yeah.
stamp on things, and then she left, and then in comes Mr. Hager, and then we had a good long run with Mr. Hager, and then he went off to do his chancellor or whatever his job title is at Texas A&M, and good for him. And then then on to Hancock, and then now here with Mr. Huffines, Controller Huffines. So yeah, so you've been through a lot of controllers, but anyway, I've just got to paint the timeline there for the audience
Yes.
being here in 2026. So it's 26 years, but that's it's a nice handful of different controllers, and not to put words in your mouth, but obviously each controller brings their own kind of flavor and their priorities and different things. So anyway, that's something that's interesting at the office. And while sometimes it makes things busier and sometimes a little more stress than other times, to be frank, but it also, it keeps things interesting, because even if you're in your same job, you kind of, everybody in the organization at some point has to step back and say, okay, how are we supporting this direction from the new boss, if you will. So
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know. I'm again not trying to put words in your mouth, but has that kind of been sort of fun and kept things interesting, at least to a degree? Maybe a little too exciting sometimes, but how has that been, kind of navigating the different, the controllers coming in and coming and going? So
I
what do you
think
think?
okay, let me see. So it's kind of, if you're not new, then it's okay. If you're a new employee, then it's a little shaky because you really don't understand. But one thing that does help me, because sometimes we take a lot of things so emotional. You
Mhm.
have to know, okay, who do you work for? The comptroller's office. It's an elected office. It's like it's not handed over by the government. This guy is well, ladies, they're going for election. So it's something that they have to prove their worth to the people. And they will bring in their A game from their own point of view. So nothing emotional, nothing personal. They're doing their own thing. I'm not the one running for office. I'm not the one. The people are not gonna call me. They're gonna call them. They are the controller. So of course they always come with whatever they want to do. So if I have that, so it's not about me. They have to do their own thing. So I think if I have that in the back of my mind, then I'm not really kind of worked up about what they do and what they don't do. Because I mean, if I'm elected to do something, I want to do something. I should think about that. So it might not affect me, but even I mean, they have to do something. So
Sure.
sometimes it's scary, but a lot of the time it works out okay. It always
Oh yeah.
worked. It has always worked out. I mean, it has always worked out. Some of them bring a lot of what do you call it? A moment. I wouldn't say challenge, opportunities,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
opportunities of different, because I remember the transparency. I think that was Susan Combe. I mean, that was
Yes.
kind of fun and new and different. I mean,
Yes.
I remember when we had to do when she went on and said, "Oh, we are going to publish this data." I was like, "Publish?" Everybody said, "Publish what data? How?" And then when because I was on that team, we will call. Remember, we calling Florida state. We would call Florida because they did some kind of transparency. We were calling other states to see what did you do and how did you do it. We call federal government to see how did you do. That was fun. I mean, if you like challenge, you kind of enjoy this kind of things. So it
Yep.
was kind of nice. And when we got it together, people would then call us. Hey, Comptroller's office, how did you do this? And how did you do this? And I think even the open data that is now a statewide thing, the Comptroller's office played a huge role in that, because we actually had an open data center working first
Mhm.
before the state even had their own. So we played a huge role in helping. And it was a controller that, sometimes it sounds like, whoa, what are we doing? But, if you like a challenge, it was kind of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was kind of
Absolutely.
fun. Yeah. And then we have Controller Hager.
Mhm,
What I liked about him was how personal he was.
mhm.
And I used to tell, I remember so I talked to everybody. In the hallway, I remember one day I met a lady. I was walking on the first floor. I just went for a walk. And then this lady was I know her from a project. She was on the first floor just walking, looking sad. I said, "What's wrong?" I said, "How are you?" She said, "I don't know." And she was just complaining about work and how things were bad. I'm like, "Have you told your manager about this?" I'm always believing in process. He said, "Well, they're not going to do anything." I'm like, "How about your manager's manager?" Then I said to her, I said, "You can talk to Lisa Craven." I mean, that's how comfortable
Yeah.
I felt with them. I said, "Listen, I was in the advisory board and I was a part of the advisory board. I did that. I said, they truly care. I said, they truly, truly care. They want to keep you. They want you to be happy. I don't think they want you to leave. So I really, if you cannot talk to your manager, I'm telling you, you can just email them." See, they actually do respond to emails. If you email, but and that's a good thing to know that you can use the chain that you have and talk to people, and to be happy at your job. So they want it. I mean, they want you to be happy. So
Yeah.
sometimes we don't know that because they're so high up there. You think, oh, they don't care. They're high up there.
Yes.
Oh, what do they know? But because I was in that advisory board, I knew that they care. I knew that they were doing things to, help every employee here. So I am sure the new controller coming in will do the same. Well,
Mm,
you do the same. So.
yep. Absolutely. Oh, that's great. Let me ask you, and not put you on the spot, but are there any funny memories? Anything good,
Oh,
bad? Any stories? Now's the
oh.
time to share. Tell me
I
anything that comes to mind that's like this is a
I
good.
love that question. I was like, where do I start? With that, with the
Oh,
funny
good,
ones, or start with the one that we have to call HR for, or no?
good. Bring it all.
But okay, so I'll start with why the people here matters. The funny thing that my friends tell me, so when I came here, I was single, so I got married here. I had my two kids here, so I've had to live a lot of life here at the comptroller's office. I'll give this how people care. When I was expecting my first child, when you're expecting, I mean, your first child, you have no idea, and you're just trying to navigate things. Everybody that I work with at the agency was either my mother or my father or I mean, they choose to. I mean, I was police. I mean, I remember going to the bathroom and a lady followed me to the bathroom and said, "You are pregnant. You're not supposed to wear high heels." I'm like, "Huh?" he said, "I've been watching you every day. You come to work with those high heel shoes. You should." I'm like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am."
Wow.
So I mean, so everybody was vested in my pregnancy. It was wonderful. I mean, it felt really good. Another funny one. I used to park my car in the parking lot on 17th Street. I walk up the stairs. I'm telling myself, this is good exercise for me. As I'm expecting, I need to walk up the stairs. And one day I was walking back. I was about to climb on the stairs, and a gentleman was standing next there. I'm thinking, is he okay waiting? I'm like, "Good afternoon, sir." He said, "Yes, I was waiting for you." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Every day I go home at the same time you go home. And I watch you climb up the stairs with the belly up there. I'm always feeling you're going to roll forward." And I was like, "Oh." yeah, I'm just pregnant. And he said, I do not want you to fall down. You need to park your car on a level ground so you can walk to your car. I'm like, wow, everybody's really pregnant with me.
That's great.
So I can go on with, I had a Ryan, there's a guy this named Ryan. People know Ryan McKee. I'm gonna call his name out here. I used to sit in the cubicle with him. One day I came into the office. I walked in, and he's sitting down with this big old pillow in front of him. And like he was covered up. I'm like, what are you doing? He said, oh, empathy pregnancy, which we don't want. I'm like, is that an HR thing? He said, oh, come on. This is all fun. So that helped me so much because, you're expecting had no war. It's like, let me just go to work. They're going to have a field day. And even when I had the baby, they showed up in the hospital. I mean, I have pictures of almost every employee that I work with waiting for me to have a baby in the hospital. And I had so much visitors when I had my baby that the nurse came and said, you cannot see people again. No, no, you and your baby need to sleep. And so that's how amazing, this work and having good working people, working with good people, So I can go on and on about that. Even my baby's room, my baby's room, it was my first child. I'm like, I don't care. I'll get the room done. It was a week before I was expecting. And I had a knock on my door. I was in the house with my friend. My other girlfriend was pregnant at the same time. And then two of my coworkers showed up in a truck. And they're like, you have a second? I'm like, yes. And I said, what do you guys need? It's like, what is the baby's room? I'm like, we're in the corner over there. And they came with their toolboxes, with their sewing machine. They said, we know your colors because we did the shower for you. It's yellow and green. And they had the curtains. They came in. They put the bed up. They put the thing on the wall. They put the curtains. And they got my bed. And then, and then my friend's like, who do you work with? You cannot work for. I said, I want a job there. Nobody cares in my office.
Oh, wow.
So that's how amazing, amazing, amazing my coworkers have been. And I can go on and go on and go on about that. So that's a good one. And another one I want to share is the mentorship thing. I did talk about the mentorship thing.
Yes,
So
yes, let's hear about this.
yeah, I want to talk about that because I love mentorship. So when I think it was 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks into it, my boss said, "Oh, this John guy was going to be your mentor," and I told him I had nothing in common with mentor. He was a white male. I'm a black female, young. I mean, it was completely opposite. So in my head, that is never going to work. That's what I was thinking. And then I remember, so we went. She introduced me to him. He looked up. Hi. I said, "Oh, this is gonna be fun," you know.
Yes.
And he was a great programmer. He was an older guy. I just finished college. So he did things differently. So when we would get together, he's like, okay, and then he's like, how's this going to work? I said, well, I don't know. So I had a little outline. We would meet maybe twice a week. That was a plan. And then he said, okay. I said, okay, you just tell me what you want me to do. I ask you questions. And we would get together. And because I just left school, I learned new things, object-oriented programming, different things. He would do the spaghetti code. I'm like, that's not a good way to go. Why didn't you try? And he's like, what is that? I'm like, well, we were taught in school that you could do it this way. He was a very smart, nice guy. He's okay. And then he would listen. And next day, he would stay home. And he would go to it at home and try it. And he would come back and bring it to me and say, is that what you were talking about yesterday? I was like, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And then I said, but he was so knowledgeable too in the agency. So he would teach me. So he was back and forward. He was teaching me things about the agency. I was teaching him new ways to code.
Techniques,
And
yeah.
yeah, so we were gaining something from each other. And he used to be, because he was so good at the founding system, that programming, he was the only one on call. So when he went on vacation, he would take his pager with him so that they would call him, page him. We worked together after the first few weeks. I'm like, why do you carry this pager all the time? He's like, well, nobody. I said, why don't you show me what you do? Like, what did you show me what you do so that when you go on vacation, I can keep the pager. You don't have this like, it's like, oh, the boss is not. I'm like, we don't have to tell the boss. Let's just do it. And so
Yeah.
he's like, okay. So we did together. He went on his first vacation. I remember the pager was ringing. It was by my desk. And the manager's like, why is John's pager by your desk? I'm like, well, he said he was, if something happened, I can help him. He's like, no, you can't. Nobody knows what John does. I said, I do. And then when what was the problem? I log in. He had instruction. He gave me, what to do, and I was able to go through it, solve the problem, and that became a thing in my head. I was like, okay, We don't have to be the only one that knows something. That's what I learned from him. Like he
Mhm.
shared his work with me. I knew what he was doing. I shared the little that I knew. So we kind of, we have this kind of partnership thing. And so when I moved to a different team, I took that with me, so that when I'm working with somebody, because I'm from Nigeria, so I do travel home quite often, I would find somebody on my team and say, hey, you want to learn my work? And then I learn your work. And that's how I used to do it. It was unofficial.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, what do you do?" And they said, "Oh, you do this." I said, "Don't worry, it's not a big deal." And then I would actually have instruction of what I do. And then so we will meet. I remember I had somebody in the BI team that we shared work with. When I was in other team, I shared work with. It was unofficial, wasn't agency thing, but it was from learning from what I did with John that I thought this is a good thing. So that if I leave, when John left, I knew what John did.
Yeah.
I could do John's work. John didn't leave with his knowledge of the agency. I knew it, so I can pass it on to somebody else. So when I was in the other team, I remember when I would go on vacation, they would call and say, "No, call this guy. He knows." No, he doesn't. I said, "Oh, yes, he does. Just ask him." And then when that guy went on vacation and something broke in his side, and then he just said, "Ask Unyime." The Unyime doesn't do it. Oh, Unyime does. So it was this secret thing, and it really did work. So that's why when CPA did the mentorship thing, I was part of that team. I was
Yeah.
part of the team that helped to build the mentorship program because I'm like, I have a great experience that it does actually work. So if you're doing something, it doesn't have to be official. You can have unofficial mentorship. Just pick somebody,
Yep.
anybody on your team, and share work together unofficially. Let them know what you're doing, and then the agency move on. But the joke, funny part, I have to like some funny story. So
Oh, sure.
I told him me and John were different. John had this hairstyle that he used to flip his hair, down. This is a funny thing. So me, after the first week, we get together. We're doing work. The second week, so I was like, John, can I ask you a question, John? He said, yes. What? I said, so do you flip at home? He said, excuse me? I said, yeah. I said, it's been burning in my head all these days. I just kind of want to know, do you flip at home? Then he turned around. You are a brat. I knew you were a brat. you, are, you are such a brat. And then he said, I am so proud of you. I said, why? He said, I thought you were going to ask me that question the first day. And I kept waiting for you to ask me. I said, well, I was trying to be a little nice. And then he said, just so you know, the answer to your problem, no, I don't. So I said, well, I have another question. I know you ride bike at home. So what do you do when you ride a bike? They just go, ooh. Then he said, oh, but it was funny. So that is how he became. I mean, John didn't talk to anybody, but we became very good friends. I mean, even when he left, because we had personal conversation, I asked him questions that nobody ever dare ask him. And I would teach him like, change your baba. You need to get a new baba guy because he need to change his style. But over the years, we kind of stayed friends. Even when he left the agency, we actually stayed friends. After that, I reach out to him. So it's really kind of nice to get to know people personally and have this conversation that you think that makes you know the person, like,
Yes.
you
Yes.
don't know the person. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, I love it. And that's again, you touched on several, I think, important themes there, but certainly, mentorship, and it's not about, finding a clone of yourself, like, oh, that's like an older version of me, and therefore they're going to be able to. No, no. In a way, the more different that you can be, the better, because clearly each, everyone has different life experiences and paths, and certainly from your background and coming to the United States and doing everything that you've accomplished is quite a bit different. And so you've experienced things, seen things, and gone through life with just a very different, experience than say myself. I grew up on a dirt road and, in north of Waco, Texas. So, like, hey, yeah, a little different perspective. But that's what makes us better, is being able to share that. And I love how you articulated that, your mentor, next thing you know, you have a good personal relationship, and you're actually able to help contribute to him. Like, yeah, he's able to kind of guide and provide some high level mentorship and more about the agency and why these things are important here. Maybe these other things aren't. But you brought in your whole new perspective, both personally and also technically, like modular code and what's all this spaghetti stuff. I mean, that's like the stuff I used to write when my first computing in the 1980s, these basic programs, just a dang mess.
Yeah.
But you're like, hey, there's actually a better way to do it. And so there you go. But different perspectives. And if, and so anyway, I love, there's a lot to unpack there, but That's great, and that makes everybody better. It made him better, and guess what? He probably finally was able to have some actual relaxing vacations without the damn pager
Yes.
going off,
Yes.
and so everybody won. Whether he even realized it going in, it's like, oh boy, here we go. I got to mentor this brat, you know. But
Yes. You did.
next thing you know, he walked away. It's like, you know what? Thank goodness for that brat. Now I'm on the beach, I'm enjoying my margarita or whatever, and I don't even have a pager, So there's a lot of good lessons
Yeah. Yeah. So I think maybe one last good one to share
there. Of
with
course.
this is, I mean, again, human beings. Yeah, we're
Mhm.
all humans here. We work at the comptroller's office, and I always think, I still believe we are one agency. The IT division, that division, it's all one agency. Have a personal story to share. So I used to work on the 11th floor, and then one day I was heading down to a meeting, and I was in an elevator with a guy. I'm not going to mention his name. With a guy, and then so I turned around. He was crying in the elevator. I had tears in his eye. So I was
Oh,
like, I'm thought to myself, I said, for a guy to cry in public, that has to be like crazy something wrong with him. So I'm standing there, I'm thinking, do I talk? What do I do? So of course, I mean, me, miss, I always say hi to people. So
for sure.
I said, good morning, how are you? And I was like, I said, I'm not gonna say how are you doing because you don't look like you're doing
Yeah.
well. So I'm not gonna ask that fake questions. So
Uh-huh.
I said, how can I help? So he just looked at me, he didn't say anything. And I was going to a meeting. I was like, jeez, I have to go to a meeting. What do I do my meeting? Or this guy here that I don't even know who he is. I just know he's in the elevator. He works here. He was dressed at work. So I said, so I saw he had pushed ground. I was going to the 8th floor. So I said, can I go to the ground floor with you? He looked at me and said, sure. I said, no, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But I'm a Christian and I believe in prayer. So do you want to go down with me? I can just hold your hand and pray about it because he has to be so serious for you to be crying in the elevator at work. So he shook his head. So we went down. I like said, I'm gonna be late to this meeting. So we went down to the ground floor. We stepped out of the building. We went to by the parking lot area. We stood there and I held his hand. And I just started praying. I said, no, I don't know what you're going through, but whatever it is, I just hope you have peace. And then we just gonna, like talk to him. I said, I hope everything goes well. And then he said, oh, thank you so much. And then I didn't know who he was. So, I moved on. Maybe a few weeks into it, apparently he would come to the elevator and wait to see if he would catch me somewhere. Because he was not in IT, he was in a different division.
Sure,
So
sure.
one day when I popped, he saw me, he said, oh my God, I've been looking for you. I'm like, oh yeah, oh the guy. I didn't want to say the guy in the elevator. So I said, oh, what happened? He said, oh, now I can tell you what happened. Then he told me the incident that happened.
Yeah.
And he said, whew, that everything kind of worked out okay for him. But he's like, I just want to say thank you for stopping and talking to me.
Mhm.
Just thank you for someone talking to me. And so I share that story to say, sometimes we're different people.
Yep.
We're different people. We're all different. And everybody is going through things at work. People come to work with their life. And it could be a lot of things. It could be less things. And it's so important for us to be a little sensitive to ourselves, to each other. And again, I always like, good morning, how are you? A smile. Oh my God, it's so free. There you don't have to buy or get trained. So just saying hi to somebody or checking in with somebody or asking them how you're doing because you really don't know what people are going through. Like people are going through so much things in life. So much things in life. So it's gonna really, if you just take a little minute, something, a little second. I mean, I was late to that meeting, but then it's a meeting. I can always make it up. But you don't know what this guy was going through, what was next life was going to be, what was going to happen. I don't know. But so I just kind of want to encourage us as we go through life or go through work every day. You know, it's free to say good morning. It's free to smile. It's free to say, hey, why you look so sad today? And trust me, people will answer you if you ask them the right question. They would
Yep.
truly answer you. So, can I just want to share that?
That's an incredible story and an important one. And again, you're the people you work with, and sometimes it's hard to build a culture, like we have at CPA and
Yeah,
find people like you, but it's important. And
yeah,
yeah, like that guy, it could have been one of his worst days. And it's funny as you're telling the story. I haven't thought about it for a while, but yeah, almost identical story for me. Except I was the guy in tears. and somebody kind of stopped and was like, "Hey, man, somebody I knew their name. I mean, I didn't work with them on a daily basis, but an older kind of manager of my old organization, pre CPA. But I never forgot it, and I always appreciate it. And yeah, you never know what people are going through, but kindness is free, and you can make such a difference. And to have that as something that people do at CPA is what makes it a special place to work, and why and even though most of my days are pretty darn good, every time I see you, it brings a smile. I can't help it. And so that's why we're really going to miss you is
Yes,
is
I'll
that
miss
type of thing.
everybody.
But that pay it forward, and your today, your lessons and sharing that. And I think a few people will watch this and maybe even think about it. Sometimes maybe people are a little shy and they don't, like, I don't want to bother that person. But you know what? Do it. Extend a hand to help somebody.
Yes.
And maybe it's a prayer or just like,
Yes.
I can see you're going through something, and if I can help you or you want to talk about something, hey, it's between us, and I'm happy to help listen. Something, and that's a great way, and that makes it a special place to work because we're all humans. We're
Yes.
government workers, we're doing tax stuff, but at the end of the day, that's not the most important thing. We're all human beings, and creating that culture that people, again, that story is a perfect example. That's what's important. That's what's meaningful. So anyway, yeah. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes. No
That's
problem.
an excellent one. So, well, let's shift gears a little bit then
All
beyond
right.
CPA. Let
All
me
right.
just ask you. So we're here. It's August 14th, 2026. And end of August is it for you? You're walking away after an incredible career, 26 plus years, and just and so what a feeling. And so I say what a feeling. I don't know. I've never retired. So tell me what does it feel like? And I'm sure it's a little mixture of ups and downs. But tell me what it really feels like, and also what comes next? What's your next life chapter, or have you even written that one? Is it a blank slate where you're going to get to write the story? So tell me more about what comes next and how are you feeling right now?
I would say I'm feeling pretty good.
Oh, I bet.
No, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. And I was walking into the office on Tuesday when I came in, and I was just walking, and I was feeling grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to work at the comptroller's office. Such a great place, such a blessing. Another personal thing to share. Working at the government office. I'm from Nigeria, so people give you names. One of the names my grandmother called me is Adiara Government, first daughter of government. My parents worked in the government when they were in Nigeria. They were teachers, so they work in government entities. So I was born while they were working. So they used to leave me at home, and I had a nanny, and they were gone. So my grandmother would call me government child. So so when I started working for the government, they're like, "Oh my God, you're leaving your name."
Great.
So I would jokingly said, "Yeah, I'm working for myself. I'm at the government." So, but I've enjoyed working here, and I really don't have a plan. Actually,
Good.
when I thought about it, I was planning and being stressful about stressing about what am I going to do next. I should do something else because I feel like I'm still very young, but I feel very young. And I did a research. A lot of people start business. I'm 55. They start a lot of their new life from 55. I'm like, I looked up a lot of people that are doing that. I said, "Who at 55, I can start all over again and do whatever I want to do, whatever that is." So I'm very open, just kind of praying about it and meditating. So, God to lead me to what that is. I just don't want to do anything just because. I want to do something meaningful, be able to volunteer more. My kids are young. My kids are very young. I have kids in college and one is in high school. So this gives me time. I'm so excited. I mean, I don't think that they're excited as I am because like mom is going to be available around all the time. They're like, oh boy, but I'm excited that I get to be in their life and do things
Uh,
with them, while they're still young before they go off and do their own thing. So when they go off to do their own thing, then I'll be free to do whatever. So I'm excited about it. It's feel like it's a blessing, that you can do it, and I'm healthy enough to be able to do it. God has blessed me with good health, so that I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Feels good. Feels good, Mr. Vince. Feel good.
got to. No, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And so I guess I'll kind of land the plane here a little bit, but you've had such a great career. It does have to feel great walking away, knowing you have left a legacy and a lasting mark, and the things that you kind of talked through today Sure, technically you've worked through a lot of things, probably from even from early on. Probably our code's in better shape than it might have been otherwise. Brought some modular coding concepts and different things, and everything that you've done throughout your whole career. Sure, technically a mountain of accolades and everything, but again, the personal side that you brought, and people learn. If that's where culture is created, it's the people. And I've worked at places too that it's not so great, but you brought a positivity, and I think people that have come in after you can't help but kind of emulate that and be like, oh, it feels good to smile, ask how people are doing, and support each other. Like, I like that. And you know what? Once you do that, then more people do it, and it kind of spreads. So you definitely, clearly you've kind of pollinated the group to a degree with your positivity and everything that you do. So anyway, I will just thank you on behalf of the citizen of Texas. I'm glad for everything that you've done, and I congratulate you on your career and appreciate everything that you've done for this office and for the citizens of the state, whether they know it or not. We're in a better position because of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, all right. Well, any final words before we end the recording? Anything else? Any future lesson? Anything else that we haven't talked about? We've covered a lot of good lessons, but anything else you wanted to say?
Ooh, but first of all, I'm very grateful. I'm truly, truly grateful that I have the opportunity to work here. It's a great agency. I mean, just like Martinez sold me the agency 25 years ago. I sell the same thing to other younger people. Like, hey, it's a great place to work. And I'm sure it's going to remain a great place to work. But it's only a great place to work because we make it a great place to work. It's not the furniture or the AC or the building that makes it a good place to work. It's the people around there, that care for each other. So if we keep doing that and knowing that we're just one agency, it's not IT division that we sometimes me against you. No, if we can just work together as an agency, we can overcome anything and any change, whatever comes our way, we'll be able to do it. So I just kind of want to encourage people to and just be yourself and know that people care. And that's this mindset sometimes that you don't think a lot of people do care. We do care for each other. We're just different people and we express things differently. So just because one person is not loud doesn't mean they don't care or they don't, or they don't say it. Everybody is different. So just embrace that different that we are. And I'm a believer. I always trust God. I'm like, if I don't know what to do, I'm like, okay, the one that knows it all, what should I do? I was going to ask for advice, ask for wisdom when you don't have one. It would help all the time. So I am grateful, and then I think, yeah, just when you're here, just be yourself, care for other people, and then you will be fine. You will be fine. You will be fine. I can assure you that. And you have good managers. That's a thing. You have great managers. Yeah, good managers. So.
Okay.
It's good.
Thank you again, Unyime, and huge congratulations. And with that, we'll end the recording. Thank you again.
Thank you. Can I leave one thing?
Oh, sure.
One funny thing. When we do that, IT sell, back sell, I am the tip lady. Just before you forget. So if you're watching this video, when you go to buy a bag, good, tip them. I'm not there, but I'm telling you, you gotta pay the tip.
Good tip. Good tip.
Gotta give that tip. Good tip. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Mr. Vincent, I really appreciate the time together. Really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you very much.